Hi, I'm Charles Hale from the Adventures of Gerard Dupris, inviting you to see the world through the piercing gray eyes of the sleuth of old New Orleans. I graduated from first Florida School of the Arts. In Palatka, Florida, for those three people out there who know where it is. I then transferred to UCF and got my bachelor's in theater studies with a minor in business. I first focused on acting and then transitioned more into background, but I never fell out of the love of being able to express myself and perform. A lot of things haven't happened as much as being able to perform on stage, and being able to do voice acting and start into that is very exciting for me. This will be the first thing that I've worked on as far as just voiceovers. But it's a lot of interest has come to me recently for that. I started the whole aspect of theater in high school. One of the things that I always like is the reaction of the audience, knowing that they're getting something out of the story, whether it's just pure entertainment or on a deeper level of some kind of a moral or trying to change society. Both are very valid in my opinion. I then went on, I continued acting because I thought that was the main way to get that across. And throughout college, after I was at UCF, it shifted more to being able to facilitate and really make sure that the productions could happen. With that, I started doing stage management mainly. I stage managed for several years and have kind of shifted again. I want to get into production management, and with that, going deeper into a lot of the technical elements. Currently, I work at Universal Studios as a pyrotechnician. I work at Cirque du Soleil in the wardrobe department as well as the carpentry department. I work at the Orlando Convention Center in rigging, and I also work at the Holy Land Experience doing lighting. So I've been working a lot on getting a plethora of information that I'll be able to use later in life to help me achieve things. I also have been working with a nonprofit called Live Action Novelty Combat Entertainment, or LANCE, Orlando. It's a stage combat troupe. I am performing in it as well as the treasurer for that, and making sure that everything along with the 501c3 documentation is taken care of, and that we actually have proper accounting, which is always difficult with creative teams. This is my first season with this show. I learned about it from a friend that I work with, Jim Brown, who said, you'd be really good for this, and for a lot of the other performance that you've done, I think this would be an interesting thing for you to take into consideration. I do know a couple other people who are working on the project, Alex Mrazek, and as well as Bree, can never pronounce her last name. They've been working on it. They've had good things to say about the project in general, and I was excited to dive in with a bunch of friendly faces. I always look for good chances and opportunities to do something different. I'm a jack of all trades. I enjoy having a little bit of everything on my resume, so someone can say, have you done this? Like, of course I have. So I've done voiceover work. I really enjoy helping out friends and making sure that their projects are as successful as possible. And if I have a way that I can help with that, then I will. It's both more challenging and easier at the same time. The more challenging part comes with not being able to use your body to show what you're doing, to show not necessarily emote, but to show some of the action that's going along with the scene. So all of that has to be done through vocal intonation, which is what makes it more difficult. The easier part is you only have to focus on the words. You don't have to focus on moving. You don't have to make sure everything syncs up with your body that you're doing, because sometimes a slight head nod can turn the intonation of a phrase, whereas in voice acting, you could be doing circles, and as long as it sounds good, it doesn't matter. So it's a very interesting art, and it's very different in that respect. And that's one of the reasons I enjoy it, is a new challenge. It's a new initiative, I guess. It's not the right word. Well, I've always liked listening to radio plays from the beginning. I first fell in love in middle school with War of the Worlds, the original radio play, just listening to everything with that. And moving on from there, it's really the suspense that comes with some of the noir stuff. I also like listening to The Shadow, which kind of goes into that same mystery, crime-solving, but has a little bit of element of the sci-fi to it as well, that I really enjoyed. The movie was interesting, but I like the radio show a little bit more. And that's kind of why I really enjoy doing this, listening to everything that goes along with it. I think this kind of setting, this kind of format is very much starting to reemerge. People are listening to things. They're listening to a lot more things. They're listening to more music. They're listening to podcasts, which are just people talking. They're getting back into getting away from watching everything and back to listening. So I think some of these will have some kind of an emergence coming soon with podcasts of people at work wanting to listen to something besides just the music of the day, which not everybody appreciates. So with that, as opposed to listening to all the music that's been created, they're listening to podcasts of people talking about interesting subjects. And they're going to start listening to storylines of people, of different stories that they haven't heard yet and that they want to, that are going to be suspenseful and interesting to them. I listen to podcasts at work, like coming up for, I'm going to have a week of just doing maintenance on certain projects at work, and I'll be listening to podcasts. I'll be listening to different D&D stories because I enjoy those. I'll probably be listening to more radio shows because it's a setting to where I can just work at something but also have a full story going on in my head that I don't have to look at but can still be immersed while I'm doing tedious, repetitive tasks. Like painting. I've never actually been to New Orleans. It's on my list. I have friends who went last year. I have friends who are going in November who asked if I wanted to go. I don't think I'm going to be able to make that trip, unfortunately. I have friends who live there currently, so I've heard a good amount. And as far as history of it, I know some of the French side of it from studying French and learning that language. And even though it's a different language there with Creole altogether, it's always been an interesting thing. I also enjoy jazz music, and a lot of that culture has come through. It's a fun random fact, one of my favorite Bond movies took place in Louisiana, New Orleans, so that's always been an interest for me. The time frame is that specific one I'm not as familiar with, but it's an exciting time of changes and people kind of developing with a lot of different things happening in Louisiana and New Orleans specifically. Thank you so much for watching our video, and thank you especially to the listeners of the Adventures of Gerard Dupris. Be sure to visit our shop for some new merchandise, including our lovely buttons here, and visit our website, nolanoir.com.